sales organization, you want 60% or better of your business coming from referrals.
And so now I'm learning that things are not so straightforward like that. Yeah. That's coming with time, maturity, emotional intelligence.
I started getting into the environment hunting at 7.
Oh, wow.
Because I started to shoot the bow, bow and arrow and learning that.
What I learned is that people don't like the scripted version of you.
Well, guess what? That building was 100% leased, fully spoken for prior to certificate of occupancy.
I think that people don't see that. They just think, like exactly how you said, like it's just like, oh, I just woke up here.
There's two sides to passion, right? There's a harmonious side and there's an obsessive side.
Sometimes you expect the punch because that leaves the person open. So, I knew where to take my hits. I knew when to duck.
He looked at me straight in my face and told me, listen, I'm good whether you make it or you don't. I'm good. You're not.
Welcome to another episode of the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line. Today's guest. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode. I know it's been a long time, but we're here, all right? So welcome to another episode of the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line. Today's guest is it's been a long time since we last spoke. Vladimir-Charles Pierre. Vlad here, we'll call him Vlad, right? We'll call you Vlad.
Yeah, Vlad. Yeah. Vlad, Charles. Whatever makes you feel comfortable.
I'm going with Vlad, man. I'm going with Vlad. Right. So Vlad is born in Brooklyn, a Brooklyn native, right?
Yes.
When we met, I was under the impression that you were coming out of Montreal or Quebec, and something about you, man, just the way you move, your swag, the way you connect with people, the way you connect dots. Very practical, very straightforward, easy guy to get to know. Plus, he's Haitian. Right, so we vibed over that too, right? I know we're both met over at KW, Keller Williams out in Brooklyn, and Bay Ridge, and we were literally just like banging everywhere in Brooklyn, like trying to get every deal we could probably get in front of as many people as we can get in front of, and we implemented a lot of the same strategies, right? So that's a lot of how you and I connected, and it's been a long time since we connected. So I'm glad that we're able to reconnect, man. How's things been going with you? How have you been?
Like you said, it's been a long time. Keller Williams, like you said, we connected. It was good, but like they say, life came along. So a lot of you doing your project, I was doing my projects. But it's been very good. 2 boys, one in high school, the other one in elementary. I opened my own real estate company. I'm into loans. I'm doing more community outreach. And just doing my best to bring value to the community. That's really my main objective.
Yeah, love that. So you're now with it's our community Realty, right, out in Elmont, right? And you're also, tell me a little bit about that, right? Because I know when we were working, because you're a broker now, is that right? Are you working as a broker now? Right. So when we were working, you were just I think working towards your broker's license, right?
Right.
What was it that made you make that transition, right? Because it's a lot of responsibility to take on being a broker versus being an agent, right?
Yeah. So, as an agent, the salesperson, you don't really need to worry about about you. That's the only thing. When you become a broker, you have overheads, you have so many things that's going on. You're responsible for everybody's actions, regardless if they did it purposely or not. Right. You are responsible for their actions. There's more at risk for you. But again, if you want to be a leader, you got to be ready to take the risks, and you got to be ready to, tackle whatever comes,
Yeah.
Especially if you really want to become the captain, is something you always want to do. So myself, since I was young, I always wanted to be my own boss, have a company under me and everything. Real estate was not something that I thought of. It was something that I liked and I loved, and I was like, this is so cool. But being in the business itself, I did not think about that until I would say 2011, that I really started looking into it and then talking to people. And 2012, within a month, I became a licensed salesperson. And I started at a mom and pop shop, which was good. Was there for 4 years, learned a lot, and then transitioned to KW.
Yeah.
And from there, this is where we met. I met a lot of people, learned a lot from KW in Bay Ridge and KW Empire, and then when you come into real estate and doing a lot, this is where you start learning a few things, and you start purchasing your own real estate. You want to own your own property. So from there, I moved out to Long Island, and then joined Keller Williams Greater Nassau. And a lot of people from day one were always telling me, even though in my mind, like I told you, I always wanted to be own my own company.
Yeah.
But from day one, a lot of people were saying, "Yo, Vlad, you would be a good leader. Vlad, you would do this." And if you remember, a lot of stuff in KW, any new agents that would come to Empire, for some reason, Kim, Kamiko, everybody else would, have them talk to me, because I didn't mind, because my background, I come from teaching. I was in the
Right.
special education world for 12 years.
Okay.
So my background is teaching. I taught from special ed, early childhood, most of the majority pre-K, a little bit of second, third, and fourth grade. Did taught martial art, Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Really?
We had after-school programs. Yeah, so I was always in teaching, and everybody would always say, "Vlad, you'd be good as a team leader. You'd be good as having your own company." But I'm going to be honest with you, what kind of you're your biggest threat, basically. I don't care about what is going on. So it's like you could be doing so many deals. I'd be looking at you and everything, and I'm like, okay, this is cool, motivation. Or you might be that person who hates on that person, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But that was not my case. My case, our case, majority of the people is our own doubt, our own fears,
Sure.
our self-esteem, and we put all these negative thoughts in our mind that kind of making us move. Instead of moving 10 steps forward, we're moving 10 steps backwards.
Yeah.
Because of whatever reason that you have in your mind.
Yeah.
So, and I would say 2018, like when you surround yourself with good, positive people also, that plays a big factor. And from 2018 to 2019, people were pushing me to become a broker. They're like, "Vlad, it makes no sense. You should be a broker."
Yeah.
And I start thinking about it. And I say, you know what? I was that type of person. Whenever I speak something into existence, I make it happen. Every day. So once that happened, right? I'll say, you know what? If I become a broker, I need to do it within that timeline. So I gave myself 2 months to achieve that, and I did it within 2 months.
Nice.
So once that became a thing, I was like, you know what? It was meant for me to be a broker, because I was always in front of people teaching people. Believe it or not, a lot of people do not know I'm shy and timid.
Are you really?
Yes, I'm big, shy, and timid. But the only way for you to move forward is to fight your fears. The only way for you to move forward is to know what are your weaknesses and what can you do to work on that. Mm-hmm. So I did what I did. Said, you know what? I'm always in front of children. I'm always in front of parents. I'm always talking to them. But the fact that when you play, for some reason, when they say, "Hey, you're going to control the crowd, you're going to do this," for some reason, when they put you on the spot, you kind of freeze. But if you're going into like networking, you're doing everything, you need to warm up. Some people might need 1 or 2 drinks, warm up, and then do
liquid spirit.
Yeah, but I changed that. Just again, I had the right people in my corner. I was building up my self-esteem, and I knew what I was doing. Every time I did consultation with everybody, the end result was always good, and I was able to bring the person to the finish line. So I was like, you know what? I've been doing this for the last 8 years. Why am I stopping myself from accomplishing great things? So I say, you know what? Let me just do it, and then that's how I became a broker. I started with two of my partners. I had 2 partners, and then I bought them out.
Yeah. Okay.
But the way we started, we were brainwashing, but we said we wanted to do something that was about the community. Everything that I ever did was about the community, from teaching to after school programs. So we was trying to figure out what can we do as a name, and we came out with so many.
So you have a lot there, right? And I kind of want to unpack it a little bit, right? Like the first one you talk about is what a lot of people go through, just like regular life, not even trying to go through sales or trying to, do a job. It's really just like their own limited beliefs, right? Some of it is fear, some of it is self-doubt, some of it is like, anxiety, maybe some of them, low confidence, right? You talked about some of, you had your own, like you say, your biggest threat. Sometimes we are our biggest threat. We are our worst critic, right? What was
Right.
one of yours? I know when I first got into sales and I was a door knocker, right?
Mhm.
And when I was door knocking, my biggest fear was getting the door slammed in my face. Not my pitch, not who was on the other side of the door. It was getting the door slammed in my face. I just didn't want to be embarrassed, right? That was like one of my biggest fears. And I think at that time I was selling UNESCO. So like the utility providers, they have like a UNESCO is kind of like they have a subsidiary that can provide the utility, and it's done through the main provider, right? So at that time, it was I think Keyspan, and Keyspan
Yes.
had like its own UNESCO, and what we were trying to do was get people off of Keyspan and onto like another provider, right? And people
Yes.
were, they were down for it. They would open the door, they'd invite me in. But some people were just like, you know how it is in New York, you get cursed out. What are you doing in front of my doorstep? So that was one of my fears. Another one of my fears was being broke, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, what's the point? I'm not gonna make any money, right?
Right.
You don't get paid until you actually close a deal. You know what I mean? So that was another one of my fears. What was one of like your most consistent fear, right? Because it's like to make that transition, like you said, you are your biggest threat. Not only do you have to acknowledge it, you have to get over it, right? And then you got to inspire the people who are going to join your brokerage, right?
So oh man, I don't have, I have several. Again, you being Haitian,
Yeah,
right? You understand the culture. So
yeah,
real estate is not something that's really praised in our community,
right.
except if you're making good money and you're
Yeah.
well known in the community. Other than that, they rather you be in school, do the regular 9 to 5, save, and that's it.
Yeah,
So that was that's one of the biggest fear that I had, to having the family respect the industry.
gotcha.
Right, that was one thing. Another fear was because I grew up on in French side of Canada, which was Quebec, right? My fear was language barrier.
Language barrier. Okay.
Yes. That was one of the stuff. Even though I knew how to speak English fluently and everything, but the way we would process things, it would take me a little bit of time. Because, for instance, we say, like in English, you would say the red car, right? In French, you would say car red.
Yeah.
So it'd be like even in Spanish also. So there's a lot of stuff that when you're talking, there's certain words that you use for
Masculine,
female,
feminine.
feminine, and knows that stuff. So it was a lot of stuff that came through. That was one of the. Another fear was, like you said, money. At that time, I had a son, and you're young, you want to do everything. It's just not being able to provide.
Yeah.
Not even being able to have that money. Again, people don't tell us. You learn once you put your foot in the industry. Like
Yeah.
I consider it like a sport to me. To me, everything is a sport.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a very expensive sport, because one, your time is money.
Pay to play. Yeah.
2, marketing is money. 3, your parents is money. In our industry, our parents counts a lot. Again, the way you look, the way you smell, the way you talk, who you're around, all these things plays a big factor. So these are some of the fears that I had, and I didn't know how to go about them. Except sometime one person told me, "Listen, how can you learn if you don't try? How can you fail if you don't try?" I said, through failure, this is how you're going to learn and perfect your craft. And then I was the type of person I used to use in school, but there's certain things that that you don't apply until for whatever reason, it's an outside thing that happens, or somebody tells something, and for some reason you had the tool and it clicks.
Yeah.
And then this is what helped me, because my model for me is only the strong survive.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I even have it tatted on my arm.
Die hard. Okay.
Another model also to me was, for every problem there's a solution.
Like that. Yeah.
So, you know, I was like, no, for every math there's a problem. They always find a solution for it and everything. There's an equation. There's always something. There's no such thing as no.
Yeah.
It might be not right now, but there's no. They're always going to dissect something to the time they find the answer.
Yeah.
And with that, they learn new trades, new things. So that's what helped me kind of fought through my fears. Also being a role model to other, I would say, students and everything. A lot of people would say, okay, you know, for a young man, you present yourself very maturely. You conduct yourself and everything. So those are the stuff that kind of help you build up your motivation, hearing from other people. But at the same time, like I told you, the ultimate thing was me.
Yeah.
Other people could tell you as many things that they tell you, boost you up and everything. But at the end of the day, if your mental state is not there, I don't care what they're gonna tell you.
100% right. Yeah.
Revert back to negative stuff.
Yeah.
So I had to learn. I forgot most of the biggest thing, right, that we didn't do. That was one of my fears. I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know how to love myself.
Ooh, that's a big one. That's a big one. I had that problem too in real estate, because you don't see a lot of. When I literally started in 2010, 2011, and I started out in the city. When I started like in 2010, you know, it was tough because we were doing rentals, and the people who were just coming out of Lehman. So the people that were renting apartments, they were usually, you know, the best places to go is like in the most desired areas in the city. So you're talking Upper East Side, Upper West Side, you know, Greenwich Village, East Village, right? You're getting a lot of that area. Harlem, Uptown is where I made all my money. But before I went up there doing rentals, it was tough for me because you didn't see a lot of black guys. You didn't see a lot of black guys. You didn't see a lot of Haitians. You didn't see anybody from the Caribbean. It was mostly Spanish guys, Hispanic people, and white people. I'm talking agents, right? And the crazy thing was that a lot of them lived in those neighborhoods, right? So they already had those relationships that I was trying so hard to get through Craigslist ads. You know what I mean? Plus, I was on a team where I was getting robbed all the time, and I was just like the legs of the operation. So it was really hard. So I think I went through an identity crisis there. I was like, yo, in my head, I never said it out loud at the time, but in my head, I was like, yo, black people don't sell real estate out here. Like, you need to go to where you can get people, you know, black people, Caribbean people, you know, more diversity. And that's how I ended up uptown, right? And I started to rent apartments that were way more affordable. I drove a lot more volume, but I definitely can relate to that, because I remember I started looking around like globally for like, you know, Africans, Caribbean people who were successful in real estate. I was like, what's happening? Like, I don't understand why black people are not in this game. You know what I mean? And I couldn't find it. And then I came across guys like Reginald F. Lewis. And then I came across, what was his name? Jay Morrison. And then I came across, who else did I come across? Les Brown. I found Les Brown. And I was like, okay, people are, you know, people were coming out of this. The biggest influence for me was Reginald F. Lewis, because his entire team was like doing he was doing leverage buyouts on Wall Street. Like, he was the real wolf of Wall Street. So that helped me get out of my identity crisis. But like, you know what's interesting too is what you said in the beginning. You said that there are people who saw it for you, but you weren't seeing it for yourself, right? Yeah. Two-part question. One, when did you start seeing it for yourself? And two, who were the people that saw it for you? Like, who were your biggest supporters?
So when did I start seeing it for myself is the results that came out of what I was doing. So basically, from every loan officer that I met, this is what they would tell me: Vlad, you're very dedicated and you love what you do, but you don't realize it, and you're not in my pockets. You're not looking for money. You're looking for results.
Nice.
So I was like, okay, that's a good thing. So once they start saying that again, you know, you guys start analyzing yourself, and then you guys start saying affirmation and start loving yourself, and then you're like, you know what? I am bringing value. people are happy. The smile that it brings to your face and everything, things that I was doing, the you know, the ropes that we go through to close a deal.
Yeah.
And the end result is seeing that person who always thought that, hey, they couldn't purchase a property, but there was a way to purchase a property.
Yeah.
When I first started, I helped a lot of people doing sales concession. I was a sales concession king. Okay, everybody. And they were like, how the hell are you getting these deals?
Right.
That was one of the things. And then one of the people that really pushed me to really do good, I was doing good, was my first broker, right? Even though it was he was always, how would I say that? Personally, he was good. Business-wise, we bumped heads a lot.
Okay.
But because of the business-wise bumping head, right? Through that experience, he was one of those people that made me great.
Gotcha.
One of my loan officers, James, he was one of the other people who pushed me. My partner, Steve, was one of them who pushed me.
Okay.
You had the buyers, because that was my niche, was helping me. People that was helping, the tenants, landlords, it was just a lot. It's a combination of a lot.
Yeah.
My biggest haters, but my biggest supporters, right?
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Yeah.
It's the family.
Okay. Yeah. They're gonna keep you honest. They're gonna keep you on your toes.
When they're so used to certain things in their culture and certain things, they don't understand it until you're the first one to break that chain and make them see what's behind it. So I understood them, and I was not upset at them because they didn't understand what was going on. And number two, they always want what's best for you. You know our culture. They're very strict. They want what's best for you.
They also want to brag about you, though. They were like, "That's my son." Yeah.
They want to brag about you. And, the way it happens is, when they're so used and accustomed to a certain thing, they only think that being a doctor, engineer, an attorney, those big names, that's where
professionals.
Or if you have a bachelor's or master's in something, then you're okay. But when you're saying you're going to real estate, it's different. So they were one of the biggest haters, but the biggest supporters. Now, once they started, and that's how I was training people. I said, do not get upset at your neighbors, at your family, or your friends.
Yeah.
Because we're human beings, right? So we're always thinking about stuff, and then we start something and we drop it. We start something and then we drop it.
Right.
So for somebody to believe in you, they got to see that you believe in your stuff.
That's right.
So
That's right.
Sometimes it might take a year, 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
And once they see you're really consistent in it, they'll be the first one to doubt you. But once they see that you believe in your stuff and you chew about it and you believe it and you breathe it and you make it like it's a religion, they'll be your biggest supporters.
Yep. Because you're consistent.
They will forget that they were saying like, hey, that thing is not going to work. They're going to be like, me? I never said that. You talking about
Yeah.
You don't want to come. You don't want to say yes. You like, okay, no problem. You know what?
Right.
So I tell people that that's one of the models that I use. Also, that same model I use with my clients in terms of when it's time for them to purchase a property or sell. Because I tell people people always going to criticize, but once for the purchasers, any house that you're going to buy, if it's not a brand new one, they're going to criticize. So after a year or two, once you start putting some equity into the property, you start doing certain things. Believe me, those people that were talking bad about the house are going to be the ones saying, yo, my friend has this house and this house, this is the house. So these are things that, I went over for me to, go over my fear. Like I said, people that really helped me was, my wife, friends. Yeah. It's just a lot that came up because everybody played a part in what was going on. And when I opened my brokerage, when you open your brokerage, you open your own company, your mindset is changed. So you're determined, you want to do something, but you have a little bit of doubt sometimes because of things that comes in. Yeah. And what made me knew that I was meant to be here and I was going to be here is the big pandemic. That's what's going to make, who knows who are the real ones who are planning to stay here.
Surviving that.
and I don't care, like, we're going to go off a little bit, but it doesn't matter if it was real estate, a restaurant, whatever business that you had. 2020 and 2021 made sure to make sure to know who were planning to stay and who were planning to stay. And then this is a
defining moment.
Learn who you were. And during those times, this is where I'm 38 now. And during those 2 years, those were the years where I really, really started to learn who I was really am, what I really want, what I don't want. So these are the things that were very, very important that really helped me push the business. You know, you have your dark moments.
Yeah.
And through those dark moments when you own the business, these are the times that, you know, you'll see who would support you. You'll see who wants you to do good. There was so many times that things, if you're not in the business and you don't want to succeed and you don't want, I don't care who it was, but there were some people at one point you had that moment, those dark moments where you wanted to quit. Where you're like, you know what? Do this thing. But because the love that you have for it, the people that you did, and the motivation, and people who was always in your corner supporting you through good and bad, I couldn't let them down. And first, I couldn't let myself down. And I have a saying that I always tell people, you know, like, you know, I'm not very religious, but I believe in God. You know, I believe in Creator. I believe in, you know, judgment and everything. But my thing is, there's a great ruler who created all this and everything. And, you know, if he created this, and, you know, we were created in his image and all types of stuff, my mind also, one of the stuff I was like, yo, it's impossible for me to not succeed. I cannot not be wealthy. I cannot be not successful. I cannot not be somebody of value. If the person who created this universe, this galaxy, is great. The person with that, so I'm like, I'm gonna be great too. So, you know, everybody is great in their own ways and everything. So I'm not gonna be like, okay, you know what? But I know that I'm going to be successful. I know that I'm gonna build a legacy, and I'm gonna leave an empire for my children. Because it's not only one of the things, like, my model was really, when I created the company, it was really to, like, hey, if I could buy a multifamily, all my agents should be able to buy a multifamily.
There you go.
Not a numbers game where, hey, I'm the biggest company, I have all these agents, now this, and then it becomes a company where you have 200 agents and you have, like, let's say 100 licenses that's sitting there and 100 that's producing. I didn't want to be that company. I really wanted to be where we grow together, we invest together. Everybody knows in the office, nobody knows that I'm a broker except my agent. Once they come in, they see a camaraderie. They see like it's a family. The only time they know when I'm a broker is when it's time for me to flex my muscles and I shoot out my title. So other than that, again, being part of a community, helping the community, bringing value, these are the things that really help me strive, help me push forward. Like all the doubts that I had, those things went out the window. And again, like the model I said, only strong survive. If there's for every problem, there's a solution. These are the stuff that I would always repeat myself so I could be doing good. And then look at the end result. You know the end results. That seller who had 2 buyers that backed out the deal, and then you're like, no, just trust me, I'm gonna get somebody, and then you end up closing it. They didn't believe that it could be possible. That buyer who you know, the house, you know, they went into the crazy, you know, bidding war. The property went under you know, they were waiving their appraisal. And undervalued, and they have to come up with the money, and we have to find a way of doing it. And I was like, you know what? Instead of putting 20% this week, let's talk to the loan officer to see where you qualify in DTI, and let's change the 20% to 15 or 10%, so we could put the rest into it. So there was ways to.
You got to get creative,
You have to be very, very creative. These are one of the things. And I always tell people, like, listen, if we could have a camera who follows every agent that's really determined and passionate about it, like I'm pretty sure if a camera was following you, your portfolio would have been crazy.
So let's talk about that, right? Because that's like a perfect segue, because that's the game, right? And I think a lot of it, I'm glad we were able to, you know, identify your fears and how you're able to get over your fears, and, you know, your support system. Because I think those are like the things you got to have in place before you step into any sales game, right? Because at some point it becomes, you know, you start chasing achievements. You're not chasing a check anymore. You're not chasing, you know, what other people see you as. You start chasing these achievements. You're like, I know I can conquer this. I know I can conquer that. I really believe that as men, we were put here on this planet to conquer. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't mean just conquer land. I mean conquer your fears, conquer, your doubts, right? In different ways, right? Through different vehicles. And one of them being sales. You know what I mean? What's interesting for me, I remember when I first got into sales, they were just building out, I'm talking like sales, not like, co-ops and condos and you have no real control and you're like, just, no, like literally lead generating from the ground up, don't have any leads, creating your own inventory, you know what I mean? Like really got into it. That's when they were just building Barclays Center out, downtown and downtown Brooklyn. And condos and co-ops, what happened was people from the Upper West Side were getting priced out of the Upper West Side, so they were moving into Brooklyn. And they were looking at condos and co-ops, and they were also looking at these multifamilies, these brownstones and these townhouses. Now, FHA loans weren't happening in the city. The city is all conventional, 25%, 20%. You know what I'm talking about, right? But in Brooklyn, you're talking FHA all day, right?
Yes.
You're talking 5% all day. And I was like, oh, this is a whole different breed, right? So when I got to Brooklyn, I'm literally like, I was Zipcar. I don't know if you remember Zipcar.
Yes.
I was Zipcarring around town, all right? And I'm literally like parked up at a cafe. I would do stakeouts on homeowners, literally in the car, wait for somebody to come out of their house, wait for somebody to go into their house so I know who was who. And I come out with my pitch package in hand, ready to go. You know what I mean? To meet that person. And I was hungry. You know what I mean? I was hungry. And a lot of times, and you should appreciate this because you're a teacher, I found that a lot of times what most people didn't know what they didn't know, right? About, what the market was doing, about when was the best time to list, about, the first, who held position on a loan, if they had two loans in place. My niche was pre-foreclosures, and that found me, right? Because everything I knocked on, whether it was in like Mill Basin or it was, in what was the other one that there was a lot? Flatlands, right? Get these beautiful single family homes and they have like two loans on them, right? And it was kind of like, well, what do we do here, right? And then you go into like, Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights, Ocean Hill, right? Bushwick, you get a lot of these pre-foreclosure deals. And the homeowners just don't know. They're frustrated. They're exhausted, right? They've been lied to. Deals have fallen through and you got to get creative, but you got to teach them the game, right? That's how I kind of like realized, okay, this wasn't about sales. It was about people. You know what I mean? It wasn't about getting a commission check. It was about teaching, right? Because that's how word of mouth travels and that's how you gain credibility. So my question to you is like, you don't flex your muscles as a broker unless you really have to, but what was it like coming out of the pandemic? Because like you said, the pandemic was like a defining moment, right? So you had the moratoriums in place. You had Cuomo saying you can't make calls, right? You had all these restrictions in place, right? So how did you survive the pandemic, man?
All right. So we had to be creative. We had to figure out things. Again, to be honest, regardless of what strategy is going, when people are determined to do something, they're gonna find a way to do it.
You'll find a way, yeah.
So he said we can't call, we knocked on doors. We send out mailers. We couldn't do that. We made calls and say, hey, listen, I'm not trying to solicit you and everything. Your property was expired. And probably it was 3 years ago. Listen, it was on the market. I saw it was on the market. Are you looking to sell and everything? I'm not trying. And then you have people saying yes or no.
Yeah.
Then you're at a point where people is like, hey, you cannot do real estate. You cannot go into homes and everything, such and such. What you did. You spoke with the seller. You made them sign a form. They okay with you coming in throughout COVID. You did a video tour. Video tour was the new thing. You would go with the video tour. Or you had the consent from the seller. Like, hey, you don't have to come in, but you could send the potential buyer such and such. Listen, I'm not violating anything. I'm just so you have to be creative.
Right.
During pandemic, a lot happened to me. It was rough, especially a new company. End of 2019, building your company, and it starts picking up towards the end of 2019, say December. A lot of contracts were just sitting there. and there was rumors going on, but nothing was happening. People were thinking they were going to close in January, and in January more rumors, and in February more rumors, and then people start losing jobs, shut down. You can't do this, you can't do that. So we have to be creative. We have to do certain things with certain loans. It was just getting co-signers, teaching them like, hey, how you got to have this type of income. This, and after certain amount of months, you could change it. Just add this person when he gets back to the job. So it was ways that we had to be very, very creative behind this wall that was put up for us. If we couldn't go through it, we had to go around it. If we couldn't go around it, we had to go over it. So
we had to find a way.
And when you're very active, and I believe, like I said, and you're very respectful to other fellow professionals that's in the industry. Yeah. If they know that you're that guy for that particular niche, they're going to call you. And my niche, like I said, was buyers. If people know me, I'm buyer. Everybody who had a listing, Vlad, I got a thing, I gotta move it, such and such, such and such. Hey, you go over there, we can't go to this and such, and then go into contract. Nice. When they start opening up stuff where we could do business and everything, because the city was different. Long Island, we was able to do things before. Okay. So, and it was a wave of city people coming out east.
That's right.
So, even the restaurants and everything, everybody was coming out east. So it was much easier for us to do networking than going into the city. So for us, it's like the city was like, ooh, we're not going to the city. That's the red zone over there. You want to do business here and everything, and then we have to persuade people to come in and do it, and then you realize, hey, we could do business over here. Because I believe when they open it up for this, and then I could be off on the months, but let's say they did say in May 2020 you could start doing business. The city, when I say the city, the 5 boroughs, they probably said, hey, in August you can start doing business. So that gap gave us enough time to like really hustle and do what we had to do. Nice. And again, it took out all the people who came in, who thought real estate was cool and fun until they started the truth. They kind of moved out the way, and then we did some deals. And then the struggle with the bidding war, that was a different type of animal. So we had to be very creative, and everything that you learn from being a special ed teacher, from learning parents, from learning dealing with students emotionally disturbed, autism at a different spectrum, cerebral palsy, like every type of scenario, those are the stuff that helped me navigate through things. Sometimes people are so big and they think that their cup is full that they don't need to learn. I went to go get certified as CB or certified buyer representative, because even though I was my niche with the buyer, I needed more ammo. Right. Then I went into, at that time I was with Redney when we was with Keller Williams. I did certified negotiation expert. So there's 3 levels to it. Once you do all 3 levels, you become a master. So I'm a master at negotiation, right? So I learned different cultures, how different cultures go. Even though I was meeting them and growing up on Eastern Parkway during the summertime, coming back, it was a lot of Caribbean and Jews. And if you move a little bit up towards Crown Heights, the Middle Eastern Pakistanians and all the types of Middle Eastern Egyptians. So you learn how to negotiate already from the bodega, from whatever. Right. You knew how to negotiate, but you didn't have an understanding why they negotiate like that. Yeah. So when I started taking those certification, now I understood. So my approach was different. Sometimes you know how to do good, but you're a little bit arrogant. You're like, this person's always doing such and such, but you don't understand their culture. But when you understand their culture, you don't feel that they're being arrogant. You don't feel that they're not educated. There's a lot of stuff that you remove that you didn't know about them. And once you, again, it's the same thing as when I was a teacher. I was a parent when I first started, right? Yeah. And there was a word that I used to use all the time, but that was my lack of knowledge. I was not well educated. We still use the word retarded. Ah, okay. No longer in my vocabulary. And to me, it was like an offense when I found out. So it's not about somebody being retarded, it's about certain things. And being a special ed, when somebody say, "Hey, you're special ed," they think like automatically you're slow. And special ed, there's so many lanes. It might be a speech identity where you could still function like everybody. Is just your speech. You either you stellar or there's certain words certain letters that you cannot pronounce correctly, syllables or whatever. Mm-hmm. It could be where you have you need PT or OT because of physical stuff. It doesn't mean that you cannot function in this world. So there was so many stuff that I learned that helped me. So back to bringing it into our business, negotiating, learning how to move. And what I saw and what I took was, again, for those animals, helped me how to do things. So me putting an offer back in 2012 and 2013 is not the same way that I'm putting an offer now. Yeah. But if I send you, I break it down to putting an offer, and I even train my agents to do that, and even other agents from other companies that I do it when they ask me how I always get my offer accepted. Appearance plays a big part in whatever you're doing in this world. Yeah. So I wanted to have an appearance where it came into sending out my my offers to make sure that my offer was on the table. Because again, you had high offers, you had down payment, you have what are the contingencies that you're willing to play with. Whatever happens, I'm still gonna buy the house regardless if I don't get the loan. If you're looking to do waive your inspection, waive your appraisal. Again, you cannot really waive appraisal, but what I mean by that is, understanding if it does come under value, you're willing to pay the difference and everything. So these are certain things that you were able to come around. In my doing these certifications, I added everything together, put a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So whenever I present something, there's like, you're writing an essay, there's an intro, there's a body, there's a conclusion. In my body, this is where I'm breaking down everything. There's bullet point. If I'm talking about the price and everything, I put everything in bold. Nice. I'm doing the intro, it's regular, simpler. When it starts talking about the temp and bold terms, I highlight terms. I put down the current bullet points. When I'm talking about my preferred vendors, meaning I put down title, attorney, loan officer, everything. Even if I didn't even know the loan officer, I would go and talk to the loan officer and say, "Hey, this is how I'm going to present it." You're going to tell them that you know me for a while. Don't push it. Right. Because now, but also you got to know your stuff. So you got to ask certain questions to the loan officer. Because some loan officers are politicians. Same thing as them. So they know what to tell you and everything. So that's why I always tell people it's good to learn certain things like that. You could ask them certain questions, and once they tell you, they'll be like, "Nah, that can't work," because now you're stretching it. Then they know you know your stuff. Then they can't bullshit you with these politician questions. Yeah.
So I like that you said that, right? Because that kind of takes me into the next part. You've been growing so much since you got into the game, since you got into business for yourself, especially. You've recently added a lending arm to your business, right?
Right.
When did you realize you had to do that? And I could tell you from me having conversations, a lot of times lenders will fall, they'll drop the ball, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe the wife spent more money, or, the credit score took a hit, or maybe even they have way too many, applications that they're reviewing, and they go for the most qualified. For whatever reason, some lenders always drop the ball, right? So what I learned to do, I was trained in the city to do this, is create relationships with multiple lenders.
Correct.
Right. And make sure that you have multiple lenders that are willing to talk to, not just your buyers, but also your sellers. Right.
Correct.
And make sure that your sellers and your buyers have multiple options. Right. Mm-hmm. And that then, when it got real crazy right before, I want to say maybe a year or two before the pandemic, I had buyers putting in multiple offers on multiple properties. Right. Mm-hmm. And just seeing which one would bite. I had sellers out there looking at properties while they were in contract. Right. So I could double lend and I can help them find a new place before they get the closing date. Right. And so it was like, you want to be firing on all cylinders. Right. So I know that there was a need, but I would never think that I wanted to become a lender myself, because I'm like, that's way too much to take on, both the real estate side and the lending side. Right. And you recently did that. When did you realize that you needed that to be a part of your business? And how do you manage the both? How do you balance the two?
All right. So it goes back again to my clients, my supporters, my support system, which is my clients, my cheerleaders that keep referring me. They used to say all the time, "Why don't you do loans?" Because whenever I do a consultation, we're licensed to do certain things, and certain things you're not licensed, you can't really talk, but you have to have some type of knowledge and basic to educate them so they know what questions to ask the loan officer. So somebody always told me, for you to be successful, you always have to ask questions. If you're not asking questions, something's wrong.
Always
you're
be
not
learning.
motivated. So you always got. So every time I would meet a loan officer, if they're not trying to educate me, I didn't really stick to you. Because to me, it's like, okay, I got the deal. But okay, how you get the deal? How can I help you? Make me understand how you got the deal. So if there's a red flag that's going to present itself, I could call you and say, hey, this is what's about to happen because of what you told me. So there's a lot of people, this is how I bet. If you were not able to educate me whenever I would ask you questions and everything, I would let you go. So there was this loan officer that I first met and everything, very good loan officer. He was educating me. Then I said, you know what? I got to start networking. So they were teaching me stuff. So whenever I start doing consultations, they were like, yo, why don't you become a loan officer? Why don't you become a loan officer? And I, like you said, that was one of the fears. Like, I don't want to, I'm still building my empire. I'm still learning this craft because there's so many new ones. Like, you could be in real estate for 8 years and never touch this type of real estate. And you're doing residential. I never did no co-ops. And then you end up jumping in co-ops. And like, I still got to learn a lot because, I'm right. Two families. I do know 3 families where a borrower, when they're going to buy a 3-family, is, when you're doing a 2-family, 1-family, you don't need no reserve. Right. A 3-family, you do need a reserve. So you didn't know those type of stuff until you hit somebody, say, I want to be a 3-family, you got them, and then there's other stuff that comes into it, and you're like, oh, damn it. So right. There's so much things that you want. And again, the biggest thing, like I told you, is that doubt that you put in your mind, your mental state, and that fear. Forget about anxiety and that stuff. The big word is fear.
Yep.
Just that fear. So people's like, you gotta do it. You should do it. You're good. You're always educating, and when you do the consultation, you're talking about it anyway to a certain extent. And then my partner, which is one of my good friends, who had helped me start the company. Also, he's the branch administrator for Canyon. Now, he was like, yo, Vlad, I keep telling you, you should go into loan and everything. You'll figure it out. You're the type of a guy who'll figure it out. And I did a property and I was helping him. They're like, yo, Vlad, those 2 people, the client and them, came to me at the same time and said, hey, you should go into loans. And then I sat down and I started thinking about it. And I said, you know what? I should go into loans because it's going to help me understand a little bit better when I'm doing my consultation. And I'll be able to invest those clients, those customers that's going to become clients. And then 2, that's money that's sitting there. That
money on the table.
So at the end of the day, everything that you're doing as an entrepreneur is all about money. The big thing is about money, but it's not. Your goal is to bring value, how to get value, how to do value so you can get more income. But again, the ultimate goal is diversifying your portfolio and adding more income and more value. Right?
Yep.
So to me, it was like, yo, they're right. I mean, I am leaving money on the floor. But again, what helps is you have certain people in your life, right?
Yeah.
That you have to have in your life, because I could have been the guy who I'm talking to you, Jean-Jacques, and say, hey, you know what? That's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. But I never push you to do it because I don't want you to. In my mind, I'm thinking, like, if you do this and you come in my industry, you're gonna take my business away from me. Right.
That's part of that limited belief. Is part of that fear. It all ties into that. Yeah.
So if you have the right person who's not fearful of that, knows that, hey, I got my niche. There's so much money to make. I'm not even worried. You're not even a threat to me. Yeah. I want you to make money with me. Yeah. If you have that type of person who's helping you doing that, you will succeed. When you start having people who's looking at your pocket, paying attention to every penny you're making, saying, hey, such and such, such and such, they might have good intentions at a certain extent. Yeah. But that want to push you up onto that next level, they don't want you. So if you was a 5-figure earner and you're doing good, you can keep you at 5-figure earner. If you're a 6-figure earner, you're doing good, they're going to keep you where you're at. Right. So when you have those people that's going to help you and push you to do better, that was one of the things that kind of like shift, because you have a fear of yourself. Then you have a fear of if you're going to compete. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I was like, yo, I don't compete with my agent. So why am I fearful? I'm not gonna compete with other people. So I was like, you know what? I know so many people in the industry. They know that, hey, if I get a deal and I say I'm closing this deal, oh man, I'm moving mountains. I don't care what happens. I'm moving, and I'm very transparent. I'm telling you, I'm gonna move this deal. And if it doesn't work,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna dodge your calls. I'm gonna let you know what's going on. But knock on wood, every deal that I touch and the loan officers I've been with, we closed them.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
Everything that we could control, we closed them and everything. I would say only one deal that we couldn't close is because the seller backed out, said, hey, they don't want to sell anymore. Other than that, it's not like we couldn't close the deal whatsoever.
Yeah.
So those are the reasons why I say, you know what, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take this other role because it's hand in hand. You cannot talk to a buyer and not do the loan.
Yeah.
If you're selling a property, so you know, in during pandemic, I would say 50% of the buyers, and this is my own stats based on what my experience was going on, 50% of the buyers were sellers.
Yeah, how about that?
They were selling their property to purchase another property.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah.
Rates were going down. So I was like, you know what? And that was the time also where people were planning to refinance.
Mm-hmm.
So I came behind that, but again, it still happened. People are still refinancing because some people don't know. Like people are complaining about interest rate, and then Jean-Jacques, you could tell them because you was there before me, and you know the market was before me. I met people that their interest rate in 2021, 2020, 2022, right? That the interest rate is still 9%, 13%, or some of them have 2 mortgages.
Yeah.
So it's this was the time for me to come. I would say what's meant for you will be for you, and the time. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Do you think that, and you don't strike me as this kind of person, but maybe you are, and I just don't know it, right? Like, I like to have control. You know what I mean? And if I don't know what's going on with the deal, or if I don't know what's going on in like a situation I'm involved in, I feel like I'm out of control. I can't manage expectations, right? So do you think that maybe, and I see this happen a lot too, right? Where deals fall through with people, and it's kind of like, it's about your credibility. It's about how trustworthy you are. It's about your reputation is on the line. So if you can do anything, right, to bring it to the finish line, whether it's closing the deal, whether it's, refinancing, whatever it is, do you think that maybe there was a level of control that you didn't have that now you do have, that you were able to get by becoming a loan officer on top of being a broker? Or do you think that now you can relinquish control and you can say, no, I know enough about how the transaction is supposed to go, I can relinquish control and let these guys take care of it and just collect on it? Like, which side are you on?
It's a mix of, like, my answers are always, everybody's always saying, like, you always got these crazy answers. You always saying, they ask you yes or no, you always give them both.
It depends.
Because my philosophy, I grew up in a family-oriented style of home, right? So I'm 32, myself, including myself and my cousin, we're 32 grandchildren. We're always together.
Wow.
Right? As a teacher, being a para, an assistant, a teacher and everything is always a team.
Mm-hmm.
Martial art was a team. Regardless, even you're building on yourself mentally and about you building your own temple, but you needed that other classmate to help you build that temple, your instructor. So everything is a team. And my instructor used to say all the time, each one teach one.
Love that. Yeah, I say that all the time.
So in terms of me, when I started the business, I still kept that same model. I was always a team player. What the difference between Vlad 2012 and Vlad 2022 is, one, I gained more knowledge, and two, I'm able to close the deal faster than before. Because to be honest, when it comes to legal stuff, I cannot control that. When it comes to the mortgage stuff, I cannot control that. I only could control what I could tell the purchaser or the seller what to do to make sure that it helps the attorney, that it helps the loan officer, that it helps the title company, that it helps the inspector. So these are the things that I know what I can control. I would make sure that I make part of it and I stay on top and follow ups. And one of the biggest downfall, and I learned that from when I joined Keller Williams.
Okay.
And you know them, Danny and Russ.
Oh, Danny and Russ, right. I like those guys. Yeah.
So they're the one who recruited me.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah.
Russ will tell you, he'll tell you, Vlad is mad aggressive.
Russ is mad aggressive. Danny too.
Yeah. When they saw that,
I hope they see this.
Yeah, they'll see they were like, yo, this guy will close deals. This guy will make sure. And then everything that I've done, right, they'll tell you, respectable, professional. There's no going behind backs and doing no. They'll tell you it was clean, very aggressive. I made sure that who I was dealing with. Right. So my team that I started with is still the same team, and we got tighter and tighter. So you learn, again, like I said, learning from other people that's doing better than you, learning from certification. These are the stuff that kind of helped me do what I'm doing right now. So when it came to relinquishing power or control or trying to control everything, I was more of a team player. If I knew your role and you knew my role and we followed each other,
got it.
That's something that, because again, the biggest downfall of any self-employed person that's creating a business, and even let's say 9 to 5 also, if you're working for someone, it's follow-ups. Follow-ups. I don't care if you're doing lead generation, whatever you're doing, if you do not follow up, you're gonna have situations. Even though you're in a transaction, if they say you and I are doing business together, we're doing transaction, and I do not follow up on your seller or on your buyer, or say, hey, Jean-Jacques, what's going on? Did you reach out to the attorney, such and such, and we're going back, no, this is the issue I have. Okay, let me call my attorney, because if that's the issue for you, it's an issue for me. If we don't do that, and we're like, hey, let him do his thing, let her do her thing, and then when you close, let me know when the appraisal starts. That's when there's issues. So you really have to follow up on stuff and control what you can control. Sometimes people try to be a chef in somebody else's kitchen when they're supposed to be doing what they have to do.
Stay in your lane. Yeah.
And this is where you have to vet your people. So whenever I'm doing consultation, I'm making sure that, hey, do you have access to that loan officer's cell phone number? I don't care about his office. Do you have access to his cell phone number? If I call them now, can I reshare and everything? And then you test that and say, hey, this is what's going on. The loan, if they're not using your preferred vendors, they have other people, make sure that, hey, the attorney that you're using, I don't want that attorney to be an immigration attorney or an attorney that focus on workman's comp and all that stuff.
Right.
Because we all know, and people who do not know, all attorneys are real estate brokers.
Yeah. But they don't really specialize like an actual real estate attorney. Yeah,
they don't practice that. They have it. If they want to do it, they do it. But we want somebody who practice real estate.
Right.
So I talk to them and I say, listen, I don't want the person where if I call them, I can't reach them. And if I cannot reach them, that is fine. I might say, hey, they're doing volume. Do they have a paralegal? Do they have an admin? Do they have somebody that I can talk to? They have a team. So I don't really care about if I don't really speak to you. And most say, I just need to know if you have a system. I need to know your system, who I can talk to, what to get the deal done. And that's my question. That's my answer to you in terms of either relinquishing control.
No, it sounds like you answered it pretty well, right? Because you gave me a framework that you pull from, and in the nutshell, what you said is it depends. I can take control, or I can relinquish, depending on that person's ability to take control or not to take control. Where somebody can't take control, you trust them enough to handle it because you know that they're going to follow up. But if there's a situation where you need to take control, you're well suited to do so. Right?
Correct.
I think that's what I'm hearing you say. I had a problem doing that for a really long time. I was a control freak. Like I had to know everything about everything for a long time. And then I realized one of the things that I had to continue to tell myself is like I had to program myself this way. I had to say, control the things you can control, let go of the things you can't control. Right? What does that mean? Go for a run, go to the gym, do something to get your mind off of that thing because it's got nothing like underwriting. You got nothing to do with underwriting, right?
Correct.
Done your part, right? The contracts going back and forth, the languages, the strikes, whatever's being struck out. I mean, that's going to be on the attorneys. I can't handle that, right? But what I could do is I could support you during that, transition. You know what I mean? I had to let go of these things because I didn't understand the legal terms, right? So I had to actually tell myself, because you want to help everybody and you want to do the best you can for everybody, right? And you want to be, you wear multiple hats as a business owner, right? So it's like you got to know where you're going to make the best use of your time and where it's not going to be beneficial to you, right? So I struggled with that for a few years, I remember. And the thing about real estate, I think, it's like, you sell real estate. Some people even buy real estate, invest in real estate, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, what you are is you're a full-fledged entrepreneur and you're a problem solver. right? And as long as you're focusing on the problems, on the solutions to the problems and not the problems themselves, and you minimize the
Right.
problems and you maximize the solutions, then you'll be in more control, right? That's how I had to literally like continue to program myself like this, right? And then I started to see where people were going through situations. I was like, yep, you're a control freak like me. Come here, let me talk to you. Let me help you with that. You know what I mean? It might be a drink, it might be a shot, it might be, a workout, but you can help people. And I hear you doing the same thing with your team, right? Before I let you go, right, I wonder, what do you look for in picking teammates, right, or other agents to join your brokerage? Like, what qualities do you look for?
All right. So let me be blunt and honest, because if I'm not honest with myself, I won't be honest with you. So right now I'm revamping the team.
Okay.
Because the way I had it was, trying to help these people to do certain things, but if they're not helping themselves first, I can't do nothing, and it becomes a struggle. So now the new OCR, the new Vlad is really recruiting. It's more in terms of, are you willing to learn, right? Are you teachable? Are you a good follower? Are you able to teach also? Are you a team player? Are you the person who's willing to put your license on the line the same way I'm putting my license on the line for you? Whenever we're recruiting somebody, I want the team to meet the person that I'm bringing on the team, because at the same time, that person's energy is going to affect the previous people that are there. So I'm more of, I want to branch out and franchise it, but I want to do it more on a smaller scale. So I want to open small business, like small real estate office of teams of 10 to 12 to be a little bit more organic. I'm not looking for the mega big stuff. I'm more looking more organic about the community and everything. Because everybody that I'm talking to, they have to bring some type of value. And, just to answer the question to you, if we cannot bring value, it makes no sense for me to put you on the team. And I'm not looking at you looking, hey, I might be the person who will close 40 to 100 deals a year, and you're the type of person who's closing 30 deals a year or 10 deals a year, but you're bringing value. It doesn't have to be, let's say, you brought your 10 listings or you did 10 buys, 10 purchases, but you're helping me delegate some of my listings. Okay, you know what? I'm going to take over this one and everything, and then we'll take care of it. This is your listing. You're helping around. These are things that I want to make sure that we're able to do as a team, that, we're meeting. When we're doing meetings, you're coming to meetings. When we're doing trainings, you're there to the trainings. So these are things that I look in recruiting new agents, the fire, the passion, and the ones who understands that no doesn't mean no now. It just means, another moment, another time. It's not the final no. And those who understand that, hey, you got to lose before you win in this business. So, I don't want the person, it hurts, when you do your deals, when you first started, nobody told you, like, hey, your first 2 deals might die and everything, but you got to rack up so many deals that you put in the contract, like that. If out of 10, 3 dies, and you have 7, because you're continuing to lead generate, you're continuing to put in things together. So these are things that I speak and want to make sure that they understand that, hey, when you're coming to this is not something where it's a hobby. It's something that we're going to practice. Doctors practice, attorneys practice, everybody practice. We're going to practice this. This is something that we're doing. This is our livelihood. And based on that, what is your mindset? Are you only doing real estate just to do the looks, or are you doing real estate to build up your portfolio so you could bring value to the community where you're at? And before I go, one of the things I always tell people when I'm doing training or I'm doing consultation is, and Jean-Jacques, you could probably relate, if I come to you and I sell you my phone, right? I might sell you the phone, and I sell you the good phone. By the time you get to your car, you're gonna think twice. I'm like, yo, did I need to buy this? Did I buy this off emotions?
Buyer's remorse.
Yeah, you're gonna be like that. But if I come to you, right, sold you the same phone, and I educated you about the phone, right, and I gave you the difference, and I broke it down to you, and you use like, yo, this is a lot of value. I'm educated about it. Even when you go to your car, and then 2 minutes later, a new phone comes out, you're not gonna feel bad, because at that moment you're like, I was well educated and I purchased that. I purchased this thing the right way because I knew what I was purchasing and there was value. So you won't have no regret. You might say, oh man, I missed the boat, but I know what I bought and I understand what I bought and it makes sense to what I bought. So that's my whole philosophy in a nutshell. Like, it's just basically bringing value, making sure that the person retain it, and they're able to apply it somewhere else. If I could talk to you and you cannot apply it to somebody else, some way, somehow, I didn't do my job. You should be able to apply something to something. Like, hey, I learned something. I'd be able to tell you and everything.
Yeah. Okay. I got 3 questions for you. Okay. We call it it's going to be like a lightning round. It's called hands down, the lightning round. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you 3 basic generic questions. You tell me how you feel about these topics, and just be as honest as you can. Right.
Okay.
All right. Real estate agents working part-time to get started in their career versus going in full-time. Which do you suggest?
Part-time.
Part-time?
Yes. Now, the only reason why I'm saying that is because based on my experience and what's going on, I recommend part-time. Because when I was a teacher, I was lucky enough. Not everybody has that luxury and everything, but you got to figure out. And I always tell people, whatever you put your mind into, when people say, I don't have time, it's because you don't want to have time. But if it was time for you to go party or go on a trip, well, you're going to make time for it.
Yeah.
So to me, I don't like when people tell me, I just tell people, hey, you're not ready for it now.
Right.
But when you're ready for it, you're going to make time. You want to get that second degree black belt, you want to go get a second master's, whatever, you will make time.
Yeah.
Regardless if you have 10 kids or whatever, you won't find a way to make time. So part-time, yes. Part-time, I'd say part-time because you have to build your funds financially. You have to secure yourself. Yeah. And I always tell people, hey, the way I did it, I stayed for 1.5 years, right? And then I went full-time.
Okay.
So my first month of real estate, within 1 week, I did more than what I made in 1 month.
Nice.
Right? We're talking about gross, not net, in 1 week. So I said, okay, can I repeat that? So now I did it for 1.5 years, and I say, you know what? Screw this. I'm done with the politics of teaching, and I'm going straight into it. Now, you might not need to do a whole 1.5 years because it was me. It was a little bit with fear, trusting myself. But maybe you might, if you have a system down packed, for 30 days, and you apply for 6 months, and some people you could leave it, but you got to make sure that you stay consistent and religious to that model.
Yeah.
And you do what you do. But I'm big. I prefer you do part time, and and then you do it. Those who do it full time, it's all good.
Yeah.
And then but if I would recommend, I would say part time.
Okay. Online networking or in-person networking?
I'm old school, so I'll say in person.
In person.
But to be honest, both, because in just where it's navigating to is everything is on social media. Yeah. So everything is Zoom. Everything. So I'm just a person. I feel like if I tell my agent all the time, if you meet the person in person, it's much better because they see your body language. Yeah. If you're doing a transaction, I told them, and it's just a strong word. Yeah. I hate seeing you guys go on the phone to talk about business. Pick up the phone, let them hear the urgency in your voice and everything. Right. And you'll do a follow-up with a text or an email. But the initial conversation, discussing business and everything, no. Yeah. Okay. So, I like that. You're old school like me. Yeah. You gotta create that urgency. You gotta get the vibe, right? As far as like an investment vehicle, like you're gonna make a lot of money, of course. You're gonna get a lot of relationships. It's about what you do with the money to make the money make money, right? To make the money work for you. What do you think what would you advise? Investing into real estate, investing into, say, crypto, or investing into stocks? See, I don't like telling people that, because I tell you, depending on how you feel comfortable, some people make money. But to me, I say real estate only for one reason, right? I say real estate or anything. Anywhere you go in this world, it's real estate. And I leave it as that. You go to school, real estate. Your car is real estate. You're paying the meter, it's real estate. You go to the bodega, it's real estate. You go to McDonald's, it's real estate. It's all real estate. It's all real estate. So to me, you go to the park, it's real estate because the city owns it. You got to pay tax or whatever the thing is. It's land. Real estate. So to me, real estate is the number one for me. It's the number one I would recommend for people. And again, you know, if not, you could start with crypto and stocks and whatever. But at the end of the day, what people usually do when they get crypto and stocks, go back to crypto.
Yeah, you got it. So it goes right back to real estate. Yeah, I like how you did that. I like how you did that. That was slick.
To me, it's real estate.
Yeah,
you know,
that was pretty slick. Okay, okay. And now, what is your bottom line, Vlad? You know, we learned so much about you as both as a person and as a professional, as an entrepreneur. What's one reoccurring truth that keeps coming back for you, no matter what, in spite of any setback? This truth serves as rocket fuel for you to take you to the next level. What's your bottom line?
Based on what everybody's saying, it's gonna be different. Everybody say that I'm a loving and respectable person that wants to make sure that you achieve your goals, and that's my bottom line. For some, like if you hear me, it's all about empowering people, making sure I bring value, making sure that they succeed. I don't need to be that person that because you're not on my team or you're not part of my part of me that I cannot wish you to do good or whatever. My ultimate goal is bringing value. That's my bottom line. If I could bring you value and I could educate you how to do better, and I see you 5 years down the line or 10 years, like, yo, Vlad, remember when we had that conversation?
Yeah.
That makes you like, you know, if I would pass away today, I know that I always brought value to people and I was always respectful. And then anybody who speak about me to my children will always have nothing but good to say.
Nice. Love that. I love that. Your reputation is key. Yeah, I love that. Okay. Where do people find you, Vlad?
You can find me everywhere. Social media. My social media on IG is your favorite realtor. So it's UR_favorite_realtor. On Facebook is Vladimir-Charles Pierre, my whole full name. But if you type in my full name on IG, it pops up also. So if you type in my full name, it'll pop up on every social media and everything. It's just the nickname that they have. But if you type in Vladimir-Charles Pierre, you'll find me on all social medias. If you're looking for real estate, again, you know that all the real estate outlets, Realtor, Zillow, Trillia, Street Easy, you'll find me there.
Yeah.
And then where you'll find me, if you want to meet me in person, I'm at 238-19 Linden Boulevard, Elmont, New York, 11003. I'm there right here. You know, I'm here. I'm easy to reach.
He's accessible.
I'm very easy to accessible. Like you find my information online. You know, just call me if you don't get me. Again, you could text me if you can't get me. Text, email me if not. If people are using WhatsApp, leave me a voice note and then I'll return it. I'll return your call. I'm very easy to get and everything. I'm never too big. I'm the same way. You met Vlad back in 2020 when he first started in Humble. I'm still the same way. Again, a lot of people don't even know I'm a broker because of the way I present myself. You know what's funny? One person said, "How you a broker and you're still showing properties or you selling properties?"
Right.
I'm like, if somebody, I'm like, I don't have no title issues. Like, listen, if somebody asks me to help them find a property, that's what got me in the business. Why would I let it go?
Yeah. You keep doing what makes you tick, right? That's what makes you tick, man. Right?
Makes me tick, makes me happy. Everybody, like, you know, I'm gonna be selling. I'm gonna be helping people purchase. I'm not changing that in everything.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, this was great, man. I'm glad that we were able to reconnect, actually, right?
Correct.
You're doing a lot of great things right now. I think during it's an uncertain time for a lot of people, and the fact that you're so consistent and you're able to help people, not just with your team, but also to help people buy more homes, get more square footage, leverage their assets, right? Both as a lender and as a broker. I mean, that's amazing, right? We need more people who are trustworthy, who understand both the inner dynamics of both of those spaces, right? So I'm glad that we're able to connect. Ladies and gentlemen, follow Vladimir-Charles Pierre, right? You'll find him our community Realty, all right? If you're looking to join, a real estate office out in, Elmont area, Vlad's your guy. Reach out. You can find him on Facebook, Instagram, all social media outlets, right? We will put this up on YouTube and all the other platforms. Reach out to Vlad. All right. This was a lot of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line.
All right, let's go. Thank you.
Thank you, Vlad.